What if your deepest struggles didn't begin with you, but with the one who first held you? You may be chasing success, love, peace, yet no matter how much you achieve, something inside remains unsettled. A hollow ache you can't name, a quiet pattern of self-betrayal that repeats in your choices, your relationships, and your inner voice. Here's the unsettling truth. You might be living a life shaped not by your own desires, but by inherited pain. Wounds passed down silently, patterns you didn't choose but somehow became yours. This isn't about blame, it's about awakening. And what you're about to hear might feel raw, but it could also free you. Carl Jung called it one of the most profound psychological forces, the mother complex, and today, we'll explore what it really means to heal the mother wound, not to shame anyone but to finally reclaim the parts of you that were never broken, only buried. If you're brave enough to look inward, this may be the moment that changes everything, the inheritance we never asked for. Imagine carrying a wound so ancient it predates your memories. It lives beneath language, beneath logic woven into the way you see yourself and move through the world. This is the mother wound. It's not always caused by abuse or neglect. Often, it forms in far more subtle ways through unmet emotional needs, through silence, through the unspoken burdens passed down across generations. This isn't about blaming your mother. In fact, she likely carried wounds of her own. As Jung said, we are not only shaped by our personal experiences, but by the collective unconscious, those inherited psychological patterns we never consciously chose. So, you may find yourself struggling with chronic guilt, self-doubt, perfectionism, people-pleasing, or a haunting sense of never being enough. These aren't flaws. They're evidence of internalized patterns passed on, absorbed, and repeated until they become invisible. Who's really behind the wheel? Have you ever caught yourself in a moment of intense emotion and thought, this isn't even me? Maybe you've walked away from a conversation feeling like a child again, or sabotaged something beautiful without understanding why. Or lived your life striving, never stopping, always seeking approval that never satisfies. This is the silent script running your story, the psychological inheritance written not by your hand, but handed down like a legacy. Jung would say, it's the mother archetype living through you, and the first step to freedom is recognizing that the story you reliving might not be yours. The archetype of the mother in Jungian psychology. The mother is not just a person, it's an archetype, a universal pattern. She represents creation, nourishment, comfort, but also engulfment, manipulation, abandonment. When the mother archetype is distorted, whether through overcontrol, emotional absence, or unresolved trauma, it affects how we mother ourselves, how we care for our inner world, how we set boundaries, feel emotions, or even define our worth. To heal this, we must distinguish between our actual mother and the internalized image of her we've been carrying, because most of us are living not in the present, but in reaction to that inherited image. Awareness. The first medicine in healing begins with awareness, with noticing the emotional patterns that rise, especially in intimate relationships. When do you feel abandoned, over-responsible, ashamed for expressing needs? These are not random triggers. They're reflections, mirrors showing you where the inner child still lives, waiting to be acknowledged. In Jungian work, we don't push these feelings away, we witness them, we invite them in. We allow the observing self to see the wounded self, not to judge, but to hold space. Because what you can't see, you can't heal. Unconscious contracts. What did you agree to without knowing? Many of us grew up under invisible agreements. I won't shine too brightly, because it might make her feel small. I'll earn love by being useful, quiet, perfect. I'll carry her pain, so she won't have to. These are not decisions we made as adults. These are survival vows made by children who feared that love could be lost, and unless we examine them, they continue to operate silently, shaping our careers, our relationships, our sense of self. But here's the liberating truth. You're allowed to rewrite those contracts. You're allowed to want more, to stop carrying burdens that were never yours, to love your mother and still break free from her pain. The power of the unspoken sometimes. The mother wound isn't formed by what was done, but by what was not done. Love not expressed, safety not provided, words never said. And that absence becomes a presence, a haunting one. It turns into the belief, something must be wrong with me. But the truth is, you are never too much or not enough. You simply weren't seen in the way you needed. And that grief, the grief for what never was, is sacred. It's not self-pity. It's a reclamation of truth. Remothering, the healing within the path forward, and about changing the past. It's about learning how to mother yourself now. That means listening to your body instead of overriding it, protecting your boundaries without guilt, soothing your pain without needing external validation, speaking your truth. Even when your voice shakes, to remother yourself is to become the safe place you never had. It's not easy. It requires gentleness, patience, and consistency. But over time, the abandoned child inside you begins to trust again, creative healing and the feminine soul. Carl Jung believed that the soul speaks through symbols, dreams, art, and emotion. The mother wound often blocks our access to this inner world, making us hyper-rational, disconnected from creativity, intuition, and flow. Healing requires that we reconnect with the feminine within us, not in gender, but in essence, the ability to feel, receive, rest, create. This might look like journaling, dancing, gardening, dreaming, not as a task, but as a ritual, a remembering, a reconnection with the part of you that was silenced too soon. Forgiveness as integration. Let's talk about forgiveness. Not the diluted kind that says just move on, but the kind that honors truth. True forgiveness is not forgetting. It's remembering clearly and still choosing not to carry someone else's pain as your own. It's saying, I see the wound you came from. I see how it became mine, and I now return it. This is not betrayal. This is release. And in that release, you reclaim your power. Your energy returns to you, rebirth, becoming who you were meant to be. Jung taught that transformation is not about becoming someone new, it's about remembering who you already are, beneath the wounds. This is the process of individuation, the sacred unfolding of the self. It begins when you stop living by inherited scripts and start asking, what do I want? What do I believe? Who am I when I am no longer trying to earn love? And slowly, layer by layer, a new self emerges, rooted not in pain but in presence. A final reflection, who are you now that you are no longer bound to your past? Who are you beyond the guilt, the shame, the silence? You may have to grieve the mother you needed but never had. That grief is not weakness, it's clarity. It's the beginning of adulthood, of autonomy, of emotional sovereignty. Because you are not here to carry someone else's sorrow. You are here to break cycles, to embody truth, to live fully. Closing call to action, so I'll leave you with one final question. What would it look like to love yourself the way you always needed to be loved? Let that question guide you. Let it shape your choices. Let it rewrite your story. And if you're ready, share below. What's one unconscious belief you're choosing to let go of today? Name it. Release it. Begin again, because your healing isn't just personal. It's ancestral, it's collective, it's sacred. Welcome back to yourself.